In the chaos of the LA wildfires, as flames consumed everything in their path, one story emerged that would forever change how we think about kindness, generosity, and what it means to truly care for one another. This isn't the story of a firefighter heroically battling the blaze or the officials working tirelessly to protect the city. No, this is a deeply personal story, a story about a Tesla employee, their home reduced to ashes, and an unexpected gesture from someone who could have easily looked the other way, but chose not to. It's not every day that a billionaire is faced with the opportunity to help someone in need, but when Elon Musk heard about the devastating loss of one of his own employees, something extraordinary happened. Amid the smoldering ruins of a community torn apart by wildfires, Musk did something that left the world stunned and, for many, brought a tear to the eye. But how did it all unfold? And what motivated someone like Musk, known for his big ambitions and even bigger ventures, to do something so profoundly human in the face of a disaster? The story starts with a simple phone call, but what follows will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about the world of high-tech billionaires and what true compassion really looks like. The wildfires that ravaged Los Angeles were devastating, leaving many without homes, businesses, and everything they held dear. In the midst of this horror, one Tesla employee, like so many others, watched helplessly as the inferno engulfed their life, taking everything in its wake. As the employee tried to grasp the reality of the situation, not knowing where to turn or who could help, an unexpected message came through. It wasn't from a family member or even a close friend. No, it was from someone who had no obligation to help, someone with the means to help in ways that most could only dream of. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, took the initiative in a way that no one could have anticipated. He didn't just offer words of encouragement, he did something that has now made waves around the world. But this wasn't a calculated business move or a flashy PR stunt. It was something raw, genuine, and heartfelt. What Musk did next, however, left the world in tears and sparked a conversation about the true power of empathy. As the flames continued to burn through the city, people were left questioning, is this really how the ultra-wealthy should behave? And perhaps more importantly, could this moment shift the perception of what it means to be a leader in today's world? What makes this story even more remarkable is the fact that it wasn't just the employee's life that was changed forever. The ripple effect of Musk's actions was felt far beyond the individual. People from all over began to share this story, not as a tale of loss and destruction, but as a beacon of hope in the darkness. It was a reminder that in a world often divided by power and wealth, kindness can still prevail. But as we dig deeper into the story, there are some twists that will leave you questioning what really went down. How did this simple yet extraordinary gesture spread across the globe? What were the reactions of the Tesla employee? And most intriguing of all, what's next for Elon Musk after this powerful act of kindness? As we continue, you'll learn about the shocking and heartwarming details behind one of the most moving stories to come out of the wildfires. Stay tuned, because the most unbelievable part of this story is still to come. As the fire raged on, the employees of Tesla, like so many others in Southern California, were glued to their phones, waiting for news on the devastation that seemed to be growing with every passing minute. For one employee, in particular, the sense of dread was more intense than most. They had been living in a neighborhood just on the outskirts of where the flames were heading. As reports came in, they held onto a faint hope that their home would somehow be spared, but deep down, they knew the odds were stacked against them. The wildfire had already left a trail of destruction. Homes, businesses, and entire communities turned to ash in mere hours. It was one of the most ferocious fires to hit the city in decades. The air was thick with smoke, and the skies above were darkened with a layer of choking soot. People were evacuated, and shelters were packed to the brim with families, pets, and anyone who had nowhere else to turn. This was more than just a disaster. It was a complete upheaval of lives, leaving people to wonder if they would ever feel safe again. As the days passed, the employee tried to find ways to process the situation. There was the immediate concern: Where would they go now? What was left of their community? Then there was the overwhelming emotional toll of watching everything they had worked for, everything that had once felt like their foundation, disappear into nothing. But it was in that moment of despair that the unexpected happened. Elon Musk, the tech mogul and visionary behind Tesla, had heard about the fire's devastation. Word had spread within the company about the loss that this employee, and many others, were facing. Musk, known for his sometimes unpredictable and unconventional ways, did something that would leave the world rethinking what leadership truly meant. Rather than sending a generic message or some vague statement about offering help, Musk personally reached out to the employee. It wasn't just the gesture itself that was extraordinary, it was the depth of it. Musk had long been known for his groundbreaking work in technology, space exploration, and electric cars. His influence and reach were undeniable, but what most didn't know was how deeply he cared about his employees. He wasn't just an employer. He was someone who understood the value of personal connection and empathy. The employee, still in shock, wasn't sure what to expect when the message came through. Was it another corporate email? Was it some scripted, "we're sorry for your loss" response? But as they read Musk's words, it was clear this was different. It wasn't just a message of sympathy. It was an offer of help that went far beyond what most people could even imagine. Musk had offered to not only help them rebuild, but also cover any immediate expenses. He didn't stop there. Understanding that the emotional toll of such a disaster could be just as devastating as the material losses, he even promised to offer them a personal, private retreat, a place where they could heal and regain their strength, away from the chaos. It wasn't the first time Musk had been in a position to help, but this time, something about the timing and the nature of the gesture struck a deep chord with those who heard the story. It wasn't about money or publicity. It was about pure, unfiltered kindness in a time of unimaginable loss. But as powerful as Musk's gesture was, it raised a difficult question. How do you reconcile such a monumental act of kindness with the harsh reality of the world we live in? The employee, still processing the overwhelming nature of it all, found themselves questioning the impact this would have on their future. It wasn't just about rebuilding their home. It was about rebuilding their life and their place in a world that seemed more uncertain than ever. This act of kindness wasn't just about one person, though. As news of Musk's gesture spread, it took on a life of its own. Media outlets, social media influencers, and everyday people shared the story, discussing how such a small act could have such a profound ripple effect. The world, at a time when it seemed so divided, had witnessed something rare, an act of pure empathy that transcended wealth, status, and power. But in the background, a deeper conflict began to stir. As people praised Musk for his actions, others raised uncomfortable questions. Was this really about helping people, or was it a way to polish his public image? Some critics pointed out that Musk's fortune came from a system that left many struggling, and the very idea of him being celebrated for such a gesture made some feel uncomfortable. After all, how many other people, who weren't as high-profile or wealthy, were facing the same kind of loss and hadn't received the same kind of help? And yet, no matter how much the critics pushed back, the story of Musk's gesture continued to resonate with people. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't without its flaws, but in a world that often felt bleak, it was a glimpse into a different way of thinking about what it means to be human. For the Tesla employee, the emotional journey was far from over. The initial relief they felt from Musk's gesture quickly gave way to a deeper sense of confusion and guilt. Was it right for them to accept such help? What did it mean for their future at Tesla, and how would the company view them now? They were about to find out that the real challenge would be navigating the aftermath of this unexpected act of kindness as the public's eyes turned toward them, and the weight of the world's expectations started to settle on their shoulders. As the story unfolded, it became clear that there was more at stake than just one person's tragedy. Musk's gesture had ignited something bigger, a movement, a discussion, a call for more leaders to step up in times of crisis. But whether or not this one moment could change the world was still uncertain. Would this be the start of a new wave of compassion, or would it be a fleeting act lost in the noise of the world? The next chapter of this story was about to unfold, and it would leave everyone asking, what happens when an act of kindness becomes bigger than the person who gave it? As the days passed, the world's eyes remained fixed on the Tesla employee and the unexpected kindness they had received from Elon Musk. The media coverage only intensified, with debates sparking around the true meaning of generosity, wealth, and leadership. Everyone seemed to have an opinion. But as the employee continued to process their emotions and the whirlwind of attention, something far more unexpected began to happen. They found themselves overwhelmed by an even deeper realization. Despite the tremendous financial support and the retreat Musk had offered, the employee couldn't escape the feeling that their life had been placed under a microscope. People around the world were watching, waiting for their next move. Would they accept the help with grace? Would they continue to work for Tesla, given all the new attention? Would they be forever marked by the story of the benevolent billionaire? This weight became heavier with every passing day. The employee began to worry about the larger implications of the situation, questioning if they could ever return to normal after such a life-altering experience. They had received an outpouring of love from some, but also harsh criticism from others who accused Musk of using the situation to bolster his public image. These voices were hard to ignore, and the internal conflict grew with each passing hour. Was it all too much? Could anyone truly understand what it felt like to have the world's eyes on them? But then, the employee received another message. This time, it wasn't from the media or even from close friends. It was a personal letter from Elon Musk himself, and what Musk wrote would change everything. In the letter, Musk expressed that he understood the difficult position the employee found themselves in. He assured them that the support he had offered wasn't just about their home or their job at Tesla. It was about helping them find peace, healing, and strength during an unimaginable time. He encouraged the employee to take as much time as needed to process and to never feel the weight of public expectation. "You don't owe anyone an explanation," Musk wrote. "Take care of yourself and the rest will follow." It was in that moment, when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear, that the employee felt a sense of clarity. Musk's words weren't just a gesture of kindness. They were a reminder that compassion is about respecting the individual, not forcing them into a mold. Musk had recognized that true leadership wasn't about controlling the narrative. It was about supporting others in their own journey, even when it was messy and complicated. The tension that had been building for days seemed to fade. The employee realized that they didn't have to carry the expectations of the world on their shoulders. They could rebuild, they could heal, and they could do so in their own time. And with Musk's continued support, they knew they weren't alone. As the wildfires faded into the past, and the employee began to find a sense of normalcy again, the larger conversation that had been sparked around Musk's gesture didn't go away. It grew into something bigger, a movement for more leaders to take action in times of crisis, to lead with kindness and compassion. It wasn't about charity. It was about community, connection, and the human spirit. The ripple effect of Musk's gesture was felt not just by one person, but by countless others who saw in his actions a new vision of what leadership could be. In the end, the employee returned to Tesla, stronger and more determined than ever. The story of their experience with Musk had not only shaped their personal journey, but also ignited a conversation that the world was ready to have. What had started as a tragedy had transformed into a testament to the power of empathy. Musk's gesture had shown that even in the face of destruction, kindness could rebuild more than homes, it could rebuild lives. As for Elon Musk, the gesture wasn't just about helping one person. It was a realization that, in a world full of division, the simplest acts of kindness could break through the noise. And while the world may never fully understand the motivations behind his actions, the impact was clear. It was a moment that would live on, reminding us all that sometimes the most profound gestures are those that come from the heart, and that no matter how big or small, kindness has the power to change the world. And so, the employee, now back on their feet and moving forward, couldn't help but reflect on how a single act of generosity had changed not just their life, but the way they saw the world. They had learned that in times of crisis, it's not the material possessions that define us, but the people, the kindness, and the moments of compassion that lift us up. And with that, the story came full circle, leaving a lasting message. In the face of adversity, kindness isn't just a choice, it's a path to healing.